spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport.
The man is incredible.
The thrill of victory.
Youngest champion.
And the agony of defeat.
Look at him go! Oh, baby. Oh, no!
This is ABC's Wide World of Sports. In Paris, art is omnipresent and expressed on several different canvases. The city of Paris, its face smiling with culture, art, and history. And today we have some of the world's most famous gymnasts in one of the world's most famous cities. A World Cup of a different kind. The Arc de Triomphe on the Champs-Élysées. The Eiffel Tower, piercing the skyline. And the Louvre. A stroll through Paris is like a stroll through one large museum. Its urban pulse palpable. This is the Bercy Sports Palace. And inside, World Cup Gymnastics individual apparatus final. I'm Mark Jones along with Mary Lou Retton and Bart Connor getting set for the women's uneven bars. This is the person many today have come to see, Svetlana Horkina. Mary Lou took a closer look at the apparatus.
The judges need to see 7 specific apparatus requirements, and they are all equally important, but here are a few moves to watch for. 1 change of direction, 2 elements where the gymnast releases the bar with flight, at least 3 transfers between the bars. Now, all other things being equal, the gymnast who does more complex transitional movements between the bars, like this sequence, will leave a big impression on the judges.
Svetlana Horkina of Russia is the defending world champion in this event, Mary Lou.
And Mark, she probably has one of the most original and innovative routines ever in gymnastics, and one of the best. That's why she is world champ. Every combination of bonus, just like that one, is unusual. Her long, slender body just creates a beautiful line that the judges love to see.
She is so angular.
Oh, she's fighting for that landing.
Take a look at this. This is one of her signature moves. Stalled her into what we call the Horkina. Now look, she catches that high bar blind. Her head is down. She is a master at this event.
She was very aggressive in this performance, better than I've seen in a long time.
Her score, a 9.825, Mary Lou.
It's a very high score, Mark, and that should put her into the medal contention.
This is Alexei Bondarenko of Russia getting set for the men's floor exercise. Explosiveness and finesse, just a couple of qualities that make up this apparatus. Here's Bart Connor.
On the floor exercise, the judges are looking for 3 specific requirements. First of all, they need to see back tumbling elements, forward tumbling elements, and a static move like this flange. But the key to getting a good score may be with non-tumbling moves, like this series here of Thomas Flair's up to the handstand and down. A sequence like this can earn a gymnast like Alexei Nemov 0.5 of a point in bonus.
Bondarenko is the 2-time defending national Russian champion, quickly becoming the man on the scene.
Bondarenko is one of those gymnasts that has no weak points. He's good on all apparatus, and look at the power in this first tumbling run. Nice landing.
Oh. very quick with his movements.
Look at this combination here. That's what's great about this guy. You never know what he's going to do. He does hard tricks. He's kind of wild. He's kind of out of control, but he never holds back. At just 19 years old, he has an enormous future ahead of him. I'm sure he will be one of the favorites to win gold at the Olympics in Sydney in 2000. Look at this difficulty. Oh, just a little short. But he goes for hard stuff all the time.
But with tumbling passes like this, he will be the one to look for in Sydney in 2000. Look at the difficulty. He somersaults. He twists. Takes a tremendous amount of coordination.
And Bondarenko's score, 9.450. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bercy Sports Palace in Paris, France. I'm Mark Jones. Today, World Cup Gymnastics center stage. And working with me today, arguably the most recognizable female gymnast in U.S. history. Remember 1984, the Los Angeles Olympics? Her speed, strength, poise, and precision on the runway in the vault. Mary Lou Retton cemented her place in gymnastics history with a concise and compelling performance, punctuating it with perfection. A 10 and gold in the women's all-around competition. And Mary Lou Retton, hey, you still got style, and so does Svetlana Horkina, who we saw just a few moments ago.
Oh, she sure does, and we have a lot more to come. Of the 4 apparatus in women's gymnastics, we have here today the 4 defending world champions. We just witnessed the artistry of Horkina on the uneven bars, but we also have from Romania, Gina Gojan. Now, she's the champ in both the beam and the floor. However, we've got a group of youngsters coming up in the ranks that are going to give them a run for the prize money. A little dynamo from China, Kui Yuan, and France's favorite, Elvire Teza. This has got the makings for one fantastic competition.
The young ones are going to try and prove something today. And Bart Connor, on the men's side of the ledger, you can hear those engines starting to rev a little bit.
And it's just as we've seen with Alexei Bondarenko. This is an explosive gymnast, as we just saw him in the floor. And Mark, you know I like cars, and so I'm going to try to draw this analogy among these gymnasts. You got Bondarenko, who's like a Porsche. He's explosive, he's powerful, and sometimes out of control, but he's always a wild ride. And then you have world champion Ivan Ivankov. This guy's like a Ferrari. He's smooth, he's sleek, he has long, beautiful lines, and he's very fast. He's really well balanced. Then you got Alexei Nemov. Now, he's a little heavier, a little more substantial. He's kind of like a Jaguar. This guy is smooth and classy and elegant, but has been prone to have some problems with reliability. So today will be a battle among all of these finely tuned sports machines.
This is Louise Zhuan.
You know what? Her routine is typical of the Chinese team. It's unbelievable. You need to look at the beautiful straight lines, the clean form, and they are just packed with originality and difficulty.
Watch this here.
Gorgeous release move. I mean, even look at the toe point. Everything is to just straight as an arrow. Judges love to see that. Setting up for her dismount. Coming up.
What beautiful rhythm throughout the entire routine.
Boom! Stuck it cold. Again, just look at the beautiful body line. They really are famous for this. The toes are just pointed. Everything is as straight as an arrow.
Zhuan's score, 9.725. We're going to take a short break and a look at the Eiffel Tower, originally built in 1889. You know, on a clear day, you can see up to 42 miles, almost all the way back to New York, which is where we send it right now to our Wide World of Sports studio and Robin Roberts.
World Cup Gymnastics on ABC Sports, brought to you by Rogaine Extra Strength for Men. Old Spice High Endurance Deodorant for long-lasting odor protection. Now you've got proof, not promises. And Consort Hairspray Mousse and Gel, because guys' hair is different.
Gymnasts, like artists, are a special breed, painting their personal portraits with bountiful imagination and by allowing creativity to overcome their fears.
Sergei Fedotchenko was the first gymnast from Kazakhstan to win a world championship medal. That was a year ago. Here he is in the floor exercise.
He was a finalist at the most recent world championships, mostly because he does a lot of hard tricks. Watch this. Double, double, laid out. Nice landing.
Wow. He makes it look so easy.
This is an important tumbling pass. He needs to be right on. Well done. He earns 5/10 of a point bonus for doing that rather tricky combination. Here he fulfills a requirement, that flange or strength and static move.
Pretty tall for a gymnast at 5'8".
Yes, and you can see he used that to his advantage on those moves where he was swinging around arch like that. Those are called Russian Moors. Very well done. His last tumbling run, he needs to have a clean landing here if he hopes to medal. Nicely done. Boy, did he rock that.
You can't get any better than that.
Let's take a look at the power in this first tumbling run. It's a laid out double back somersault, but he's going to crank 2 twists, one in the first and one in the second. That's about the most difficult move you can even try on the floor.
And now Kui Yuan of China, who also uses a high degree of difficulty. Her road to the world stage has been paved with family sacrifice.
The Asian art of origami embodies the qualities of the Chinese gymnast. With each fold, each bend of the paper, or of the human body, something unique is revealed that is valued for its originality, its beauty, its difficulty. 17-year-old Kui Yuan is China's emerging star. Her originality lies in her daringness. Her beauty is obvious. The difficulty of her path that she has traveled has been shouldered not only by Kui, but by her parents as well. In communist China, parents are allowed just one child by law. Even so, when Kui was asked at age 6 to be one of the few young children to train and live at a state gymnastics school, her parents consented. She has been there for 11 years.
Since I was 6 years old, I lived away from home.
At one time, she cried and wouldn't go to training. When her mom took her to the school, they held each other and cried. Then I told her I would take her instead. I sent her into the school, and she rushed out in tears. I told her she could cry, but after, she had to go back to the gym. As time went by, she became accustomed to it.
She lives a collective life. She spends time with her coaches and teammates, and they have things in common. As a daughter, sometimes she's afraid that what she says will offend us. She's been accustomed to the way she lives, so she seldom comes home.
We miss each other very much. One year, she told us she would not come home to spend the Chinese New Year. Then I said, blaming her, "You don't have a home. You don't have a daddy and a mommy." As parents, we miss her dearly.
Their sacrifice has not been in vain. Kui has already won 3 world championship medals, and her family has benefited. At age 15, Kui was able to buy her father the taxi he drives for a living.
She knows for us as workers, it's hard to buy a car. It's a lot of money. It would be unthinkable if we did not have such a daughter.
And even more rewarding is the pride she has brought to her family and her country.
I'm very proud of her. When she competes, what I think is important is the glory. If she wins and our national anthem is played, I'm so emotional. I watch every competition she's in. I grip my fists and cheer her on. What I treasure most is the glory.
We have paid a high price. Compared to those who haven't seen the results, we can say we have been rewarded.
The finest works of art do not reveal the labor that has gone into their creation. In Kui Yuan's gymnastics, you cannot see the tears and pain of her parents or the toils of a child, but they are there.
Gymnastics, a family affair for Kui Yuan. Fedorchenko's score in the floor exercise, meanwhile, a 9.30.
But she is so tiny, and one of the required elements is for the gymnast to make transitions, 3 transitions from bar to bar, and that's really her biggest challenge because she is so tiny.
And she has actually grown since a year ago at this time.
Yeah, that's one of the first things I said when I saw her. Gosh, she's grown. Her rhythm is just right on. Everything to the handstand. Beautiful flare. Perfect double pike somersault.
Diminutive but dynamic. Yuan of China.
Look at how high above the bar she goes on this pike double back somersault to a pretty good landing.
Her score, 9.15. Surprise, Mary Lou?
No, not really. She watered down her dismount, and I think the judges deducted some points for that.
Now in the men's floor exercise, formerly of Russia, now son fils favori of France, Dmitry Karbanyenko.
And it's as if the French have just taken him as their own. He married a French woman who's a journalist. They love his style. He's one of those guys, you talk about cars. This guy's like a 57 Chevy, man. All power and no brakes. Watch the stuff he does in this routine.
Oh, so difficult. He makes it look so easy.
Look at the guns on this guy. I mean, he's powerful. Uh-oh. Even that, there was a move that he was a little off and he muscled it. How often can you muscle the floor exercise?
Not very often.
Look at that. It's an important combination in terms of bonus points for him. Yes, nice.
He was a silver medalist in this event at the World Championships.
Wow. That's a static move.
And Mark, he told us the other day that he has a Rottweiler that's 110 pounds, and he says, he's just like me, big and mean.
That weighs more than me.
So far, this routine is clean. It's packed with difficulty. He should go for a laid-out double somersault. Look for the landing. Oh, he goes for a full in and a little short.
And it reached the round of applause from the local crowd. Karbanyenko.
These moves are called Russian Moors. It's appropriate that a Russian is doing them. And then he cranks them right into these Thomas flares. And by combining these elements, this whole sequence, he'll earn about a half a point bonus by doing essentially pommel horse work on the floor.
His score, a 9.475. Just one of the people's choice here, and the other one competing now in the uneven bars, Elvire Teza of France. With her type of star status, she goes by just Teza.
And she probably has the most unusual and complicated routines in this whole competition. She has a move named after her called the Teza, and it's coming up. Here it is. Wow.
Oh, that looks like it kills the shoulders, doesn't it?
It does. You wouldn't catch me trying that. She just goes one step above everybody else on this event.
Tricky landing.
Oh, a little hop.
Teza, France.
Take a look at this signature move. It's called the Teza. She's so creative. Not only does she do a Teza on the uneven bars, but she takes that originality over with her on the beam as well.
Her score, a 9.75, moving her into second place behind Horkina. And coming up next, he may be looking a little cross-eyed, but Alexei Nemov of Russia has his eyes squarely focused on first place.
And always elegant. Look at the style. This is an important sequence for him. Up to the handstand and down twice, and then back up the third time. Altogether, he earns a half a point in bonus. That's important. Once again, we're seeing more gymnasts use pommel horse work to get bonus points on the floor.
Amov, a guy who enjoys playing to the crowd.
He really is a stylist. Some gymnasts are technical, some are finesse gymnasts. He really has it all. Look at this, oh, he's short. Oh, that's too bad. But like you said, he's milking it. This is a perfect example of his power, which is deceptive. This is a double somersault laid out, and then he twists in the second one.
Always the crowd pleaser, this time with a kiss. He's a very affectionate Jaguar, Mark.
His score, a 9.175.
Look now at 16-year-old Bi Wenjing of China on the uneven bars.
Again, one unbelievable routine from the Chinese, and she's got this move at the beginning of her routine. It's coming up. That is so unique, and there it is. It's done with such flair. Right into the highest release move I've ever seen.
Fair to say she might be one of Jorquina's toughest rivals in this event?
Absolutely. They battle each other at every competition. Everything to the handstand. Everything is a straight line. I haven't seen any deductions yet.
Oh, that was It's going to be very interesting what the judges do with that. That's probably the best routine of the day.
Here it is. Take a look at this. This is called an Ono turn. What makes it so special is look at the arm. It goes all the way up, down by her hip. She does it with flair. That's what I like. Right into this high release move.
A few anxious moments as she awaits her score. 9.85 for Wenjing. She vaults into first place ahead of Jorquina.
I'm really surprised because when you have the world champion on bars competing, the judges usually tend to favor her. In this case, it's Jorquina. But that's the politics of gymnastics, so I'm really pleased that they gave it to Bi in China.
Meanwhile, in the men's floor exercise, it's Karbanyenka in first, Bondarenka, his former teammate, and Fedorchenko. You know, the French people have a passion for sports as well as art. Once you pull up to the Bercy Sports Palace, you never know what the sport du jour will be. It could be American football, judo, team handball. We even saw indoor sailing here, folks. And biking. Just pull up a chair and watch the action.
This is 20-year-old Alexander Beresh of the Ukraine on the pommel horse.
This is certainly one of the most difficult events for the judges to follow because as you can tell right away, Mark, all the skills run together. And so you can be 2/3 through one skill and then transfer into another skill, and it changes the difficulty value. This is a really hard event to follow, not only for the fans, but the judges and the experts as well. You see he's doing these single leg scissors. Those are a requirement. Nice dismount up through handstand and a pirouette off. It'll be clean, and I'm sure he has plenty of difficulty.
He finished 9th in the all-around at the 1997 World Championships.
Just one of the requirements on the men's pommel horse, traveling across the entire length of the apparatus.
And the judges reward him with a 9.575. Coming up next on the pommel horse, Ivan Ivankov of Belarus. His story, one of riveting resilience and a will of steel.
As he was leaving his hometown of Minsk for the Atlanta Olympics nearly 2 years ago, Ivan Ivankov had a premonition. He would not actually compete in those games. His body was not ready.
When I was leaving and my family and friends were wishing me luck, I was worried. There was a problem that I knew could destroy everything. Maybe when people become physically weak, thoughts of weakness enter their minds. And this overtakes you. In this case, it was the erosion of my Achilles tendon. I wasn't sure of myself.
From 94 to 96, Ivankov received over 30 cortisone shots to his right Achilles. The shots had practically dissolved the tendon into mush.
We went to an American doctor in Atlanta because I couldn't walk normally. I am very grateful to him.
It was evident at that time that the tendon was very attenuated, very thin in nature, and our concern at that time that it could rupture. And as it turned out, as he was walking across the parking lot to go back to the training center, it did rupture.
Ivankov was operated on immediately with a risky technique known as gastrocnemius turn down.
The gastrocnemius turn down, which we did, is radical, and it was very risky. Again, this is a very unusual case. You don't typically see the repeated corticosteroid usage in the United States like we see in some of the foreign countries. It's generally condemned.
I really believed that after the Olympics all was lost, that the sport was over for me. I didn't know where to begin again. I was shifting from one emotion to the other. Yes, no, no, yes. Should I be in the sport or not? And the word yes took over.
Ivankov returned to the gym, and when he entered the 97 Worlds, he was still considered to be rehabilitating. But he found himself in a position to win the individual all-around gold after a spectacular performance on his last event. Here's how he called it. Oh, it's nail-biting time now as he waits for his score. It's hard to believe that just a year ago in Atlanta, he was on crutches most athletes consider a torn Achilles tendon, a career-ending injury. It looks like he's got it.
I've never been as happy as I was at that time. That first win after my injury was a small moment, but for me it was bigger than winning the Olympic gold.
He calls himself responsible and reckless. In part, I guess the difference is knowing when to be which one. Here he is on the horse.
At the World Championships in Lausanne last year, he fell off of this event and almost lost that all-around title that he was working so hard to win. Let's see what he can come up with today.
Men's pommel horse is equivalent to the women's balance beam. If your body is off just a quarter of an inch, you're off the horse.
It's a very finicky event. He's really loading up the difficulty, and what's really impressive is how clean he's keeping the form through all these rather complicated transitional moves. Well done. Ivankov is such a mild-mannered young man. You wouldn't expect him to be so aggressive on the apparatus like he is. Look at this finish. That's going to get a great score.
Always with that stoic look of concentration on his face, Ivankov.
Watch these transitional elements. He's working across the horse on the leather, then back up to the pommel, crossing all the way over. You need to touch both ends of the horse, but what's most impressive is how he keeps the rhythm and the form so clean doing these complex moves.
His score in 9.7. Ivankov continues to be an inspiration, Mary Lou.
His comeback is so interesting. It reminds me of another incredible comeback, Dmitry Biliserchev. Just 16 years old back in 1983, he burst onto the international scene. But that same year, he shattered his leg in a terrible car accident, but came back to win the world title just 4 years later.
Both athletes, real pillars of strength.
This is Zhang Jingjing of China on the pommel horse. The Chinese, Bart, as you mentioned earlier, so technically superior. Does that extend to this apparatus too?
This will be a perfect place to see how they emphasize body line and complicated technical elements. All of these single pommel elements are very difficult to do. And see, he's still on one pommel. He's been up there for like an hour. And boy, you just rack up the bonus points the longer you stay on one pommel doing those combinations. Look at the body line there on those Russian Moors on the end. So difficult to get a routine that starts from a perfect 10 to gain enough bonus points these days. You have to stay up on the pommel horse a long time. These routines are sometimes twice as long as they were about 10 years ago. You just got to stay up there all day to get all the moves in. Little weak on that dismount.
This was the event that caused him to lose an all-around medal at the 95 World Championships. Xuan Jingjing.
These are the flares, and he's going to hop to the end and go up the handstand, and you can see he had to bend his arms there. He'd like to go a little bit cleaner straight up through the vertical position in the handstand. Minor deduction, though.
And a 9.5 for Zhang. We're going to take a short break, but first we want to remind you that next weekend on ABC Sports, we'll bring you the Hershey's Kisses Figure Skating Challenge. In her first competition since she took home Olympic gold, hey, Mary Lou's best friend, Tara Lipinski, hits the ice with Michelle Kwan. Can you give me some tickets, Mary Lou?
We're must skate.
All right. Still to come, more on the pommel horse, including Alexei Nemov of Russia, trying to follow in the long line of artists here in France, like Monet and Rodin. More in just a minute.
Eric Poujade of France is the silver medalist in this event at the 97 World Championships.
And Mark, this guy has a perfect body for gymnastics, especially on the pommel horse, because he's very short in the torso and has very long arms. Look how high he is above the leather. You can see he's much higher than many of the other athletes.
5'8".
His body style reminds us a little of Kurt Thomas from the United States, who had long arms and a short torso, and of course did some really remarkable moves on the pommel horse in his day. Oh, he clipped his feet, but he kept going and didn't break form. That's tough. They'll have a little deduction there.
Hey, the fans loved it.
We'll see if the judges give him the benefit of the doubt here. He is at home. Watch as he starts to travel back across the horse. He clipped his foot and actually hit his thigh on the pommel as he crossed back over and had to break the body line a little bit. It's hard to catch, but the judges don't miss that stuff.
Well, the mistake wasn't that costly. The French favorite with a score of 9.7.
Alexei Nemov of Russia is gunning for 9.7. Eric Poujade and Ivan Ivankov stand in first place right now. That is the score to beat.
He just might be able to beat him. I watched him yesterday do this routine in practice, and he's really improved the difficulty level. Look at this, 3 times around. He talked about his conditioning not being at his best yet, but in this event he has improved. Oh, he's just a little slow there. Look at him pick it up with these flares, though.
Beautiful work.
Always elegant, though. Smooth. Look at the finish. Clean.
Never plays it conservatively.
And always the kiss.
A performer in the true sense of the word.
These moves are called Russian Moors, where he keeps his body straight and his hands in front of him. He goes around 3 times, and he'll do that in combination with other moves and earn just a ton of bonus points. Not quite as elevated over the horse as some of the other gymnasts, but good form and packed with difficulty.
But he didn't rack up enough bonus points to score 9.4, but as you can tell, sometimes the score doesn't matter to Nemov. He finishes in 6th. The top 3, Poujade and Ivankov and Baresh, Poujade winning because of a higher qualifying score. All right, coming up next, we move on to the rings, where strength is paramount. And also the beam, where elegance is put to the ultimate test. You know, proud and traditional Parisians have long fought against America's influence, trying to keep things purely and solely French. Nice try, because in 1971, the Golden Arches came across the ocean, as did the arrival of some of America's best-known icons. And the U.S. presence was felt in a big, big way. More signs and goods kept coming, like the Jacksons, hip-hop and a little rap music en français. I saw Mary Lou Retton out there on the dance floor in a different type of floor routine, Mary Lou.
Yeah, you know it.
Working the Champs-Élysées a little bit in the evenings. And if basketball is your game, as it is mine sometimes, you get a game of pickup too. So Mary Lou, how's your credit card doing?
It's maxed out.
I took out my white suit just for the occasion.
Welcome to Paris.
Here in Paris, folks, they blow kisses in bunches. Back inside Bercy to the apparatus that can leave your head ringing if you're not careful.
First up on the rings, Yordan Yovchev of Bulgaria via Norman, Oklahoma. On the rings, Bart, how tough is it being the first competitor?
It's usually unlucky to draw the first one up because the judges tend to be restrictive with the scores, just in case somebody comes along who's a little bit better. So he's going to have to be perfect if he hopes to do well here going up first. He has a routine that is worth more than a 10.0. Interestingly enough, you can't get higher than a 10 point. But I'll show you a sequence in here he does, which is sort of over and above the rules. All of these moves are clean, right in the inverted cross. Needs to hold them 2 seconds. Now watch this move here. He doesn't need this. He gets no extra bonus for doing it. But he said, I just want to do it to show people that I can do that move. It's pretty cool.
I'm a strong man.
Here's the dismount. A little low, but he did nail it. Take a look at this move now. He does an iron cross. With his arms straight, he's going to lower down and then do what they call a butterfly and pull right back up. Can you imagine how hard that is on the shoulders?
In French, butterfly is papillon, and the judges reward him with a 9.525. Up on the balance beam now, it's the team captain of the Chinese team, Li Juan.
As you watch her in this competition, in this routine specifically, she has such a nice, smooth rhythm throughout this whole routine.
Juan's mother was once a gymnast.
Oh, she had a little break, actually a big break on that flip-flop, flip-flop layout. Judges are going to take a few tenths off for that. On balance beam, the gymnast must work the entire length of the beam, one of the requirements. Beautiful. High leap with amplitude. Something else the judges require from the gymnast.
She's been with the Chinese national team. She's a veteran of 5 years.
That's an eternity for a woman gymnast. They usually last at the top only a few years.
It's very difficult to stay on the top, perform with such athletes these days. She's one of them. I'm really excited to see her here on the beam. She was not a finalist on beam at the World Championships. Oh, step on the landing.
Li Juan of China.
Quickly over to the rings where Ivan Ivankov of Belarus is set to go. Juan scored 9.625. Bart, this guy is a mini Schwarzenegger.
You know, Mark, when you look at the guns on this kid, I think it's interesting to note he's 5'3" and 132 pounds. People at home watching on TV see a guy that muscular. You got to believe he's 175, 80 pounds. Didn't you think that when you first came to this gymnastics meet?
No doubt.
We said he was a Ferrari, okay? He's sleek, he's smooth, and stylish. He will demonstrate all of those things on this event. Watch how smooth he is between elements. Clean.
Bart, do you figure he's put in more time on an event like this, which doesn't have as much stress on his Achilles tendon?
Very good point. He couldn't tumble or vault for a long time, so he really beefed up his strength elements on the rings, and it's showing here. Really clean to the handstands. Locked arms. He was the bronze medalist at the World Championships on the rings, and one of the best elements in his routine is this dismount, keeping his body straight in perfect form. Now he takes a slight hop, and for a hop like that, the judges will take 1/10 of a point deduction.
Deduct they did, Bart. His score, 9.675. Time for a breather, and World Cup Gymnastics from Paris, France continues after these messages and a word from our ABC stations.
World Cup Gymnastics on ABC Sports. Brought to you by 100% Colombian Coffee, official sponsor of the World Figure Skating Championships. Genuine Chevrolet, the cars more Americans trust. And Pringles, so fresh, once you pop, you can't stop.
Sylvester Celani of Hungary up on the rings. He was a silver medalist in this event at the '97 Worlds.
Up on the rings now.
And like many of the gymnasts here, he has also moved to the States, coached in St. Louis, and now he lives up near Sacramento, California, where he coaches and continues to train. He's 27 years old, which is not exactly a young man in the gymnastics world. But we're finding more gymnasts are extending their careers because they're actually making their living doing this now. We're in the first generation of gymnasts who are getting enough prize money that this is their profession.
Where was that when we were competing?
Yeah, what's up with that? Listen to you, Miss Wheaties. Now, he'll probably do just a laid-out double somersault. He has plenty of difficulty in this routine. He's going to try to nail that landing. Not everybody has been sticking them. Oh, that was good.
We've already seen a signature move by Elvire Teza of France on the uneven bars. Now we'll get a chance to witness one on the beam.
My coach thought a lot about this movement, and he looked for a girl can do that, and when she see me, she said, "Oh, you can do that." And first, when she told me, I said, "Oh no, it's impossible." And we worked a lot, and after I did it in the competition. And
Teza's from Réunion, France, which is 5,000 miles from Marseille, which is where she actually trains. Celani's score, meanwhile, a 9.65 in the rings.
Interesting enough, beam is Teza's least favorite event. However, she's still 6th in the world.
Oh, man.
Wow. That is spectacular.
And frightening, too.
Yeah, why is it that every move she invents is borderline abusive? Every doctor in the audience goes, "Oh, you're not supposed to be able to do that."
Picard tumbling series, man, she is red hot. I think she enjoys competing in front of the home crowd. Some gymnasts get nervous, some use that to their advantage, and she's one of them that says, "Man, I'm going to show them what I can do."
Almost retired a few years ago, too.
Wow. That's the same skill she did before, but just on a different way on the balance beam. Full twisting, backswing down.
Now this dismount will be a backflip with 2.5 twists. It's tough to land. Oh. Nice job.
Very nice job, and this crowd is appreciating it. Here's the Teza. Take a look at this. She does sideways on the beam, full twisting, back handspring, swing down immediately into a back hip circle. Take a look at her dismount. She is doing 2.5 twists, and she's landing forward. It's a blind landing, and it's really hard to land. Takes a little hop, handles it very nicely, though.
Teza with a 9.7, and the fans here pleased about it.
This is Italy's Roberto Galli up on the rings. He finished 5th in the '97 World Championships. This is one of his better events.
Of course, he's lived in the shadow of the Lord of the Rings, Yuri Keki, several-time world champion and Olympic champion in '96. He actually has a very nice routine. Some swing elements to strength moves like that. Some of the best ringmen in the world here in this final. Would need more than a 9.525 to earn a medal today and end up in the prize money.
There's no question that the steel rings require the most upper body strength of the men's events. Is that correct, Bart?
Boy, and it's really hard. I mean, the most common injury for male gymnasts are rotator cuffs, as you can imagine, Mark. How about a little grinding right there?
My shoulders hurt just watching. Galli.
Quickly over to the beam, and the silver medalist in this event at the '97 Worlds, Svetlana Horkina of Russia.
She starts out strong with, look at this mount. Off the beam, and look at that. She should have started her routine at the beginning. She bagged the whole first tumbling pass. She's going to lose a lot of points for that. Wow. That's her signature move, Horkina.
Almost fell there.
She is looking very shaky.
Meanwhile, Galli's score on the rings, a 9.625.
A leap series, which is a requirement. You know, the judges really like her long body on balance beam. You got to take a look at this dismount. Most of the gymnasts you've seen have been dismounting off of the end of the beam. Well, Miss Horkina, I want to be different than anybody else, is going to dismount off the side of the beam. That's what makes her so special. She's very creative.
A nice recovery at the end of the routine by Horkina of Russia. But that fall at the beginning surely will be costly.
Take a look at this mount. We'll round off onto the board. See that? Full twisting back handspring. Wow, she was way off to the right. Didn't even get that last foot on the beam. There's nothing you can do. Just pop right off.
Her score, an 8.675.
She's not used to getting 8s on beam, Mark.
And the look on her face tells the entire story. She may not even stick around and watch her competitors.
She's out of here.
Gina Gojan of Romania is next on the beam. And Horkina is headed towards the exit. Speaking of exits, Gojan has considered quitting several times.
It was hard to say goodbye to gymnastics. After Lausanne, I said I would retire. I stopped for 2 months, but I decided to start again because I wanted to compete in the World Cup. I wanted to try because it was the only competition I did not have good results in. Lausanne was my last major international competition. The World Cup will be my final competition. The new code of points has made it difficult for me to continue in gymnastics.
Gojan would possibly like to coach when she finishes her competitive career.
The Romanians are famous for their consistency on beam. She is like a machine. She doesn't do anything spectacular, but she rarely makes stumbles.
She is the final competitor in this event. She needs a 9.7 to move into first ahead of Teza.
You mentioned her potential retirement. She doesn't like to compete in the all-around anymore. She hates the uneven bars. She doesn't like the pressure of having to compete for her Romanian team and feeling that. So she's here because she's competing as an individual on her best events only.
And you know, I really have seen a difference in just her demeanor. This whole week during practice and warm-ups, she's more comfortable. There's less pressure on her.
Needs to beat 9.7.
We mentioned prize money. These Romanian gymnasts are well paid by their government. Gina has like 3 apartments that she rents in Romania. And you see them just as a young gymnast on the beam, but many of them are entrepreneurs these days.
You know those Romanian women, don't you, Bart? You know, a very special entrepreneur sleeping in the bed next to you. Double back somersault. That is why she's the world champion on the balance beam.
She will wait now for the judges' score.
Was that a smile, almost?
There was.
Oh, yeah, Gina. Unusual.
Go, Gina. Take a look at this tumbling series. A flip-flop, look how straight you have to be. Back handspring, high double back, boom.
And Gojan score a 9.7, enough to elicit a bit of a smile from the Romanian. She takes first place based on a higher qualifying score, edging out Teza, and Juan finishing in third. Meanwhile, in the men's rings, it's Ivankov, Celani, and Roberto Galli of Italy. Welcome back to Paris, France, in the shadows of the Champs-Élysées and the Arc de Triomphe. So much history to see, and so little time. Mary Lou Retton is down on the floor with this report.
Thanks, Mark. Hey, a couple of things you don't often see at a gymnastics competition. A smile from Gina Gojan and a slip from world champ Svetlana Horkina. We got an exciting second half coming up. It's kind of the Romanian domination. Gojan goes on to floor to try to defend her world title, but if there's anybody that can beat her, it's Russia's Yelena Prodanova. Her first tumbling pass is so difficult, I think it might be the most difficult in the entire competition, including the men. And over on vault, it's Simona Amenar. If there's anybody in this competition that can win the vault title, it's going to be from Hungary, and it's Adrian Varga. She has 2 huge vaults.
Look forward to seeing those, Mary Lou. Dmitry Karbanyenko and Ivan Ivankov, winners so far on the men's side of the ledger. Right now, over to the floor.
Simona Amenar of Romania on the floor exercise.
You know, she performs a typical Romanian exercise. Pretty difficult tumbling like that, but nothing real explosive, however, very technically sound. And you know, the choreography is made up of a lot of almost choppy, cutesy steps, as you'll see later on when the music gets a little bit faster. Here we go, Romanian. You noticed you can clap to this music as well.
It's actually a new floor routine from Lausanne at the World Championship.
But there is always a signature kind of Romanian look, kind of a cutesy music, yes, and a lot of poses and arm movements. Many times you watch the Romanian kids do their routines sort of in an uninspired way. I get the impression sometimes they're like, well, my coach is making me do this. I don't really like it, but that's what I got to do.
That's right. And some people like the style and some people don't. I actually happen to enjoy this routine.
Amenar of Romania.
Take a look at this tumbling pass. She is a strong tumbler. She doesn't get much height. A whip through to, watch, full, double full, 2.5 twist.
Amenar with a score of 9.55 on her new floor routine from Lausanne. A look at Bercy and downstairs to Bart Connor.
Mark, you're going to love this next event. You know, I've always thought that if any event in gymnastics would be perfect for the extreme games, it's this one, the men's high bar, because the gymnasts have to do some pretty outrageous moves just to get a decent score. Let's take a look at what the judges are looking for. They first of all need to see a move where the hips or the feet come close to the bar. They also need to see a move where the gymnasts are in an L grip or an arm-twisted giant swing position. They also need to see a release move. But let's face it, what the judges, the fans, and the gymnasts are looking for are these high-flying, daredevil-like double somersaults over the bar. When the gymnasts make them, they're spectacular. And when they miss them, they are disastrous. How'd you like to try that, Mark?
Hey, Bart, not a problem. I hear the hospitals here in Paris are pretty good. Up now on the floor, it's Svetlana Horkina of Russia. So far today, it has gone from bad to worse. She recently faltered in the beam.
Her music is from the soundtrack of Pulp Fiction. She is a master at dance and seduction. Let's just watch this diva in action. Little bobble there. Will be a slight deduction from the judges.
Mary Lou, you mentioned seduction and Svetlana in the same sentence. Recently, she posed topless for the Russian edition of Playboy magazine. And she says, hey, if people want to think of me as a sex symbol, let them go ahead and do it.
Two and a half twist. Oh, she sat down. Right in the pass. She didn't have enough juice.
We've talked about the fact that she isn't in the best shape. She's getting ready for the European Championships next month, and she tweaked her ankle the other day here in Paris, and it's probably affecting her now.
Says she loves Paris. It's her favorite city. It might not be after this.
Tell you what, she needs to finish strong with this last tumbling pass. Let's see if she can handle it. Nice recovery. That's really important because that's the last thing that the judges see. It's a big impression.
Horkina, the silver medalist on this event from the '97 Worlds.
Tell you what, she is not pleased with this routine. See it on her face.
A rough day for the all-around champ.
Take a look at this pass. Round off. Flip-flop. Now watch, she has a little bit of trouble here. She's doing a 2.5 twist, and she sits down. She didn't have enough rotation to land on her feet.
Her score an 8.60, Mary Lou.
Her second 8 in the entire competition. She is not happy today.
And now over to the thrill seekers' favorite event, the high bar.
Alexander Berish from the Ukraine up on the high bar.
You're going to like some of this stuff, Mark. Watch this. He's cranking up. Double with a full over the bar, and he caught it perfectly.
He finished third in this event at the '97 World Championships.
And that was a class field in that final there, just like we're going to see here today. The best in the world on the high bar are here to compete. Oh, yeah, this is good. Here comes a dismount.
On the floor, and a look at Elena Prodanova of Russia.
And here's this first pass I've been dying to see. Take a look at this. Oh, that is so hard.
Score, meanwhile, a 9.375 in the high bar.
We're noting in training sessions, her upper body strength is really incredible.
Yeah, she's got a confident... She's got a lot of confidence. You even see it in her walk. A ton of upper body strength.
Watch this. She's going to do another double front somersault. See if she goes for it. She's moving.
Oh! I mean, it's hard to do a double front somersault off of a springboard into a swimming pool. Imagine on a floor exercise.
Interesting, this is the easiest tumbling pass in her routine, but it's the hardest one for her. It's a pike double somersault. She has trouble with this. Oh, she nailed it.
Not tonight.
The fiery and feisty Prodanova from Russia.
Boy, she's a powerhouse. Got to take a look at this. It's called an Arabian double front. But she's not finished when she does that. Here it is. 1, 2, and then she does punch into a third. That is so hard to do.
And by the end of your floor routine, you're really tired, but look at the height she gets on this double pike somersault.
And her score, a 9.60. More floor exercise and high bar when we come back. Up on the high bar now, it's 23-year-old Aljaž Pegan of Slovenia.
Mark, you're going to love this routine. He's got a move that's named after him. Comes up right here. He's going to do a double front with a half twist over the bar. See if he makes it. Oh, yeah. Wow. Sweet. You know, among all the gymnasts, there are 6 events, but when the gymnasts are hanging around in the gym, this is the one they love to play on. And you're not a man unless you risk your life every time you go out there. There's the triple. Oh, did he rock that?
Aljaž Pegan of Slovenia.
Take a look at the intricate handwork the men must show on the high bar. And get a load of those hand grips. Now, those grips help the men to stay on the bar.
Those hands look pretty beat up. His score, a 9.6. Elena Poloskova from Belarus on the floor exercise. An 18-year-old.
And she really is a complete package on the floor. She's got great tumbling skills, technically sound, and a really nice background in dance. Oh, she's a good twister, triple twist. It's hard to land that. Most gymnasts will do 2 3/4 and kind of cheat to the judges. You know, most of the athletes on the floor exercise or medal contenders will do 3 to 4 tumbling passes in their routine, along with leaps and jumps, which is a requirement that the judges ask for. And just like the beam, the floor requires a length of time between 70 and 90 seconds.
Talk about the 70 to 90 seconds. Do the judges frown on it if you go one way or the other, towards one end or the other, longer or shorter?
No, not at all. And most opt to go 70. Double pike somersault, a little low on that landing.
Well, the score to beat is 9.6, posted by Prodanova from Russia.
There's a lot of twisting in this front tumbling series, and it's easy, really easy to get lost. It's kind of like when you were a kid and someone swung you around in circles. You can get dizzy.
You sure can. Her score, a 9.6, and Alexei Nemov watching along with the Belarusian swan, Svetlana Boginskaya. Nemov keeps busy. Up now in the high bar, it's Ivan Ivankov of Belarus. Bart, this is the event where you can really show your risk-taking ability.
And as we have seen, he has some hairy moves in this routine. If he can make them, this could be the best routine of the day. Here's the first one, double over, nice.
He needs to beat 9.6 to move into the lead.
There's the second one, and that's the one we saw him crash on at the World Championships. He made it nicely today. This is where he shows that Ferrari sleek style and smooth rhythm. Look at the speed.
And he's got the engine revved up. Ivankov.
Here's the double over the bar. This one's in the piked position, and he lays out right in time to catch the bar and smoothly swing out. Now, he wanted to do a full giant, but he does this straddle kip back up the handstand and won't get a significant deduction for doing that.
but every tenth of a point important. His score, 9.55. That's good enough for second.
Up on the floor right now, Ludovine Fernand of France.
And most definitely a crowd favorite. She is the first French woman to ever win a medal at a World Championships, and it was bronze at the 95 Worlds. She really is a complete package. She's a super tumbler and great dancer. Wow! Double layout punch front. We mentioned a little earlier that she's trained by Chinese coaches. Her choreographer is a Romanian woman who now lives in Oklahoma, Adrienne Pope. She said it took Ludovine only 40 minutes to learn this routine. Usually it takes a gymnast days.
That's a quick study.
Yes.
Good for her. She had trouble in practices on that combination.
She just keeps going and going and going. Now she's having some fun, enjoying the crowd. You know, she's getting to the corner to get ready for her last tumbling pass. And at this point, man, you're out of juice. It's almost like running two 100-meter races back to back.
Here's the stretch run.
Wow!
Ludovine Fernand.
The biggest ovation of the day. Good for her.
The score to beat is 9.60.
Take a look at this first tumbling run. It's a double layout somersault punch front. This is so hard to do. You have to land this first double somersault a little bit short so you can get the momentum to do the front somersault.
Propelled by the crowd to a 9.575, good enough for third. The world champ in this event, Gina Gojan of Romania, in sixth, and Polaskova of Belarus in first. In the men's high bar, it's Pagan taking the honors. We'll return with more World Cup gymnastics after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Spring in Paris. On the banks of the River Seine, it conjures up indelible, amorous images of romance, love, kisses, hugs, for people of all ages, shapes and sizes. Believe me, folks, this is the place to be if you've got a Love Jones that just won't quit. The passion runs from warm to hot, to even hotter. And the love affair inside the Bercy Sports Palace continues between the fans and the gymnasts.
Alexei Bondarenko of Russia is the reigning Russian national champ on the vault. First of two coming up.
He should be doing the handspring double front somersault. Altogether, it amounts to 3 flips before he rolls the dice to see if he's going to land. There it is. Oh, yeah. He makes this easily, partly because he gets such a good heel drive to create some good rotation right there. He is cranking, and boy, he opens up effortlessly. It's tough to spot that landing.
Bondarenko's first vault was 9.625. Here's the second one.
We saw him crash at the World Championships last year on this vault, and he made it today. Last year in Switzerland, his hand totally missed the horse. Watch, he's going backward onto the horse. One hand missed, and he did the major biff. Landed on his side, didn't complete the flip.
Well, this time, Bart, he got it right. His average score of the two vaults, 9.487, and he seems reasonably pleased with the result. Remember, he's the all-around silver medalist at the 97 Worlds.
Getting a look now at Leszek Blanik of Poland.
He goes for 2 outrageous vaults. Sukahara double back. It's been many years since we've seen the Polish gymnasts at major competitions actually as contenders. This is that Sukahara with the double back somersault. He has more than enough power. Unfortunately, on this one, he was short on the takeoff and short of rotation as a result.
Leszek Blanek of Poland, his second vault coming up now.
Here's another one of those where you roll the dice. Handspring double front. Oh!
Altogether, it's 3 flips in the air. 1, 2, and on the third look, he drops a little bit too fast, and he lands short.
His score, the same as Bondarenko's, 9.487. And don't forget, folks, next Sunday, 2 Eastern, 1 Pacific, it's the 25th anniversary of the Superstars, and I petitioned for Mary Lou Retton to be in that competition.
I love it. I'm there.
We get gymnastics in, you're a cinch.
2 other vaulters are tied for the lead with a score of 9.487, but this man, Sergei Fedorchenko of Kazakhstan, has a chance to beat it.
And he is the world champion. Watch this. Nice landing, and he finished it very high. Best one of the day. This is another one of those handspring double fronts. He lands a mile from the horse, but watch how easily he finishes this. He opens up right there and has plenty of time to prepare for the landing. Just a small step.
Fedorchenko needs better than a 9.224 to take the lead.
He could do it. This vault starts at a 9.8. Nice. He's going to be it. He's going to get it.
He's juiced.
Watch what happens here. He goes very high and very far. He has to bite down here at the end. But he's very clever and not letting his hands brush the floor and fighting for that landing. He'll still get a good score.
And he knows it, baby. Oh, yeah.
He pulled the trigger all right. A 9.587, good enough for first place. Blanek and Bondarenko finish with the same score, but Blanek gets the edge because of a higher start value. More World Cup gymnastics à Paris when we return. Welcome back to the Bercy Sports Palace. I'm Mark Jones, along with Mary Lou Retton and Bart Connor. Parallel bars and the beam coming up next.
Li Xiaopeng of China first up on the parallel bars. Bart, this is an event that the Chinese really excel at, isn't it?
Yes, they were number 1 and 2, gold and silver at the most recent World Championships. And you're going to see why right here. Everything is done with extra precision. And watch this combination out to the single rail. And you notice, Mark, on his arms, he has those white armbands.
Yeah.
Watch this. Double back. Ooh. In between the rails. That's why they're there. You can imagine how you hack up your elbows by doing those a few days in practice.
Xiaopeng, the 1997 World Championship silver medalist in this event.
This combination, a lot of gymnasts are using where they go out to the single rail and kip inside like that and go back up to the bar, pressing on one rail.
His score, a 9.575. We're going to move over to the women's vault competition, and who better to consult on the intricacies of this apparatus than Mary Lou Retton.
In addition to noting the start value, which is something like a degree of difficulty, meaning the maximum possible score for the vault, the judges look for form, height and distance from the horse, and landing. Now notice that a forward flipping vault is harder to land because the gymnast does not see the floor until very late. Now compare that with a backward flipping vault where the gymnast has more time to spot the landing and adjust accordingly.
Coming up in the vault, it's Kui Yuan of China.
You know, she looks really tiny standing there, and she is, but don't let it fool you. She has got a powerful vault.
Whoa! Nailed it.
That was huge.
It's amazing such a little person can do such a huge vault. Look at that. She does round off Yurchenko onto the horse and double twist off in the laid out position. And she stuck it cold.
Second vault coming up for Yuan Yuan. The first one, a 9.575. Seems like most have a strong first one, but not a second one, Mary Lou.
That's exactly right, Mark. You know, of all the events, I think the vault really tends to catch the athlete off guard a little bit. This is a competition 3 in the code of points. They have to have 2 different vaults from different families. Oh, I hate those landings.
Oh, man, that's dangerous. You can blow a knee so easily if you land lock leg like that.
Take a look at this. She's going to do a half turn on, a half turn off of the horse, and in a laid out position, she's going to land forward. Boom! Oh.
Her score, a 9.437. Mary Lou Retton said that she would be one of the athletes to watch.
Zhang Jingjing of China chasing his teammate Li Xiaopeng, who is in the lead right now at 9.575.
Familiar situation with the Chinese leading the way in parallel bars. Look at the perfect straight handstand. That's as good as it gets. Watch this, double back in between the rails with perfect form. I like he has combinations of underbar elements like this, right to a double back somersault, and then he has a complex over the bar series like this right here. So far, oh no, a silly mistake. He missed the easiest move in the routine. How can he do that? Every difficult move he nailed, and he blew a simple handstand.
Right towards the end.
But here's one of those difficult moves he does. Most gymnasts in the competition do this in the tuck position. Zhang goes one step ahead, does it in the pike.
His score, a 9.625. That catapults him into first place. Meanwhile, Simona Amanar of Romania getting ready for her second vault. Mary Lou, this is her first.
And this is what we call the Yurchenko double full. It's decent form in the air, and she gets good distance from the horse.
Simona Amanar of Romania, her second vault coming up right now. Her first one, a 9.55.
She's got a start value of a 9.8 on this. I particularly don't like this vault. All the girls are using this for their second vault. Decent, big hop. Like to see it bigger.
Like I said, I just don't like this vault. They do a half turn onto the horse, a half turn off, then they do a somersault in the laid out position. It's just ugly.
It was pretty to the judges. Her score, a 9.487. Time to pause, and coming up, a couple of world champions, Ivan Ivankov and Svetlana Horkina, trying to paint themselves gold when we come back.
World Cup Gymnastics on ABC Sports. Brought to you by National Car Rental. So what are you waiting for? Let's go. Hershey, the great American chocolate company. And the Hartford. Bring it on.
Back to the Bercy Sports Palace in Paris and back to the parallel bars. This is Ivan Ivankov of Belarus. He's already won 1 gold today, but to know him is to know that he has an insatiable taste for victory.
This event is another good example of his mastery of gymnastics because he has important and difficult elements in all categories. Below the bar, these double back somersaults above the bar. Look at the rhythm. See, that's his style, and that's why he's the world champion. He's smooth. All other gymnasts today have actually checked that little handstand going up from the side. The easiest move in the routine. I'm surprised.
Save that handstand.
Fighting for every 10th. Oh.
His dismount goes way above the bar, and he fights for that landing till the very end.
The score to beat, a 9.625. He doesn't do it with a 9.60.
Coming up with her first vault is Adrian Varga of Hungary.
She's my favorite in the whole vaulting competition. She has got, talk about huge vaults. Wow. See how far away
scoring she got from the vault, that's what the judges are looking for. Interesting, she did her easier vault first. It's only a starting value of a 9.8. Far away from the horse. Little bit of a hop.
Adrian Varga of Hungary, her second vault coming up. She seems to have two speeds, Mary Lou, just like you did when you competed, fast and faster on the runway.
That's exactly right. Well, thanks, Mark. You know, a good vault starts with a strong accelerated run. You get the horizontal speed. When you hit the horse, it goes into the vertical.
She needs a 9.624.
Gorgeous, Rudy. So what I like about this vault, Mark, is that nobody else is doing it in the competition. It's a front handspring on, 1.5 twist in a tuck position. Boom, she just falls from the sky.
Varga, a tireless worker. Her score, a 9.462. What do you think, Mary Lou?
I feel it's a little low. I think the vault was very difficult to perform.
She could be a champion someday. Speaking of champions, Svetlana Horkina of Russia is a world champion. And the true measure of one is how they react in times of controversy as opposed to convenience. She's faced adversity, Mary Lou.
She definitely has. She performs very well under adversity. Had a slip on the balance beam, very uncharacteristic of her. On the floor exercise, she just sits down. At the Olympics, she fell on her bars routine in the all-around competition, but just a few days later, she came back to win the gold in the bars. If anybody can make a comeback, it's Horkina. Oh, very low. She just did her Horkina vault, named after her. Not going to score too well. Take a look at this. This is named after her. She has such a long body that she had to come up with this vault. Look how low her face almost hits the mat.
At times today, she has seemed disinterested, disconcerted, and disorganized. This is her last chance at salvaging the day.
Starting value at a 9.8. Oh my gosh. This is not the Horkina I have come to know. I don't know what she's doing. She normally starts this vault with a round off onto the horse and does a 1.5 twist. This is a Sukahara in a pike position, a starting value of a 9.2 mark. She's going to score very, very low.
Low indeed, Mary Lou, an 8.837, her third 8 scored on the day. So the women's vault final looks like this. Aminar taking the championship. And in the men's parallel bars, Zhang, Ivankov, and Lee. And here's the other winners that helped us paint our championship portrait. And of course, some of the brushstrokes you saw today in our competition were classics, while others were not. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next month from St. Petersburg, Russia for the European Gymnastics Championships. For Mary Lou Retton and Bart Connor, I'm Mark Jones saying so long, and right now back to our Wide World of Sports studio and Robin Roberts in New York. A bientôt.
All right, MJ, thanks very much. This World Cup competition took place 2 weeks ago. This weekend, Romania's Simona Aminar dominated an international meet in her home country. She won the balance beam and floor exercise, and earlier today she earned the all-around title in Bucharest. While there are only